Okay, part 2, guys. I've moved because that was annoying me. Part 2 of full moon. So I escaped from my cage, the bird cage, which is also symbolic because during my marriage I didn't sing and I was a songbird trapped in a cage, unable to be the full expression of herself, and she busted out of that bad boy too. So maybe life's just about busting out of cages that don't fit you. Run, my friends, run. Okay, so I was in the universe and I was aware that now I was out and I'd allowed myself to get that far and allowed myself to see this power source that ran through me, that was me. I had these tools and it was like a movie. It was so funny. It makes myself giggle because this is not really how I see myself. But I was in the universe and I was literally like, return to me my tools. And I was aware. I couldn't see nothing, but I knew that they were there. I could see them. They were hidden in plain darkness. And as I said it, I turned with my left hand and I saw this realm. And the realm was called the realm of the North Stars. And in this realm, it was this beautiful, and I was so aware. I've been to these places. I can't explain to you how it felt. It was like coming home to all of myself, makes me want to cry. I was in this place with these northern stars, which is what your North Star in astrology is, your purpose. It's the thing that you focus on. It's the thing, it's the thing that takes you to the promise. It's the thing that you follow without a shadow of a doubt. You don't stop, you follow that thing. They found Jesus lying in a manger because they followed a star. All these things are metaphorical. I'm not telling you to run to your local church unless you feel called to. But there are principles. There are things that across all denominations, all faith, there is a one truth. And these truths are often used in symbolism and pictures that are very similar. And you can't really tell the currency of it as it being the same unless you come out and you look. Anyway, I'm channeling off again. I was in this place. And the stars were all North Stars. And it was like I'd learned to follow that North Star. It hung out with the North Star energy. It was home to me. It was yellow. It was hazy. It was home. And I just put out my left hand and I felt the energy of this place. And I said, come to me, O brightest of North Stars. And this star was just illuminating and just was gently coming towards me. And it landed in my hand and it was back where it belonged. I think this was like a soul retrieval, thinking about it. So I knew I'd be a bright star here on earth or in any realm. I'm a bright star. That's part of my purpose, is to be bright. And then I saw this pink realm or this pink glow in the darkness as the North Star had been returned to me. And I called into the pink and I said, be returned to me, my tool. And then this beautiful, it made me want to cry again. There was so much emotion and sentiment in these realms. I was familiar with them, but it was like a story I'd long forgotten. And this pink dragon's head came out and she smiled at me. She was the cutest thing. And I went, Ashna, my friend, it's been so long. And then as the rest of her poked out from the darkness, I saw she had 8 heads. And then the chief behind me said, but you know she's also a representation of you, right? And I was like, of course. Yeah, she's got 8 heads. But she was like a pet version of me with my 8 versions or, all those archetypes I spoke of yesterday. And I called her to me and I said, Ajna, come. And she was like a bounding pet and we sort of embraced. And I knew she was going to work with me. I was going to work with that dragon energy, whatever I'd learned in that realm, and how we connected with one another, even though it's a connection with myself. And then then I saw this blue haze starting to glow, and a realm opened up, and it was the realm of sound and vibration and voice. And there was this enormous, it must have been about this big, enormous blue diamond, and I knew it represented my throat chakra and my voice and things I would say and how I spoke. And that was a tool, and it was huge. of course, because I don't stop talking. So I called that back onto myself. And then I didn't get through all of them last night, but I think it's going to unfold. But you get the sentiment. The final one that I had, or was aware of, was I had this vision. I was in the circle of, look how cold it is. Can you see? No. I was in the circle of my native ancestors, and I was with the chief and all my brothers. And, you know, I always talk about the chief, but I'm very familiar with my brothers in that time as well. And I was in circle with them around a fire, and the chief was teaching us through stories and song around this campfire. And again, home, shamanic shack. This is what I'm recreating here. That's the point. It's all being platted here in this thing. And I was with the chief, and they were telling the stories. And then he got up, and the vision shifted, and in his place it was me. And I was teaching the circle around the fire. I was teaching people and telling the stories, and people were listening to me. And then I heard the chief's voice say, "No scribe and no pen, no feather has ever written what you know. This has not been written. You will teach from a place of knowing, of experience." And then I flashed to being in this shack. And I was teaching circles of women, and I'd chosen these women. I'd called them. They weren't just random folk. I'd energetically called the right people, attracted them to the energy of the shaman. And I was standing up, and I was speaking. The voice chakra, all of it. I was speaking, but I was speaking, and this white light was coming down onto me and out through my voice, and everything that came was like fresh. It had never been written, like the chief said. There wasn't a course that had been created before. This was just coming fresh out of me, like a fresh flowing river of water. And then I know this stuff, and this has been happening to me a lot. I remember one other thing, that I will just get into a position where I suddenly can see things, and I'll talk to people, and then I'll have these knowledge that is not knowledge that I've learned in my brain. It's just channeled knowledge. It's connection to the divine, and you're using yourself literally as an instrument to bring healing or activation or delivering them from things or highlighting things. Anyway, the final one, which was just before I think the vision sort of closed down, was an eye. And it was like, it looked just like this. It looked like this, just this blue eye. And look, ironic. We have a little similarity going on here. Anyway, it was this eye, and I was hearing the all-seeing eye. But then, when I connected to this tool, the eye, I knew everything. Like the eye wasn't bound by location or time. The eye could go. That's our mental. The eye was everywhere, all at once. It wasn't like it had to travel. It was all seeing. It could see everything. It's giving me chills. Wah! And the eye had these wings, which represented, yes, the ability to be everywhere and go anywhere. And this eye was my tool. And this eye was the ability, and I've done this, like astro projecting sometimes. Like I remember this story, I was in a home, and my friend was in South Africa, and I was in the UK. And I suddenly was I've never been to her house. I hadn't even been to South Africa. And I was in her room, and I could see where her tables, I could see where she was in her home. I could see a book on her bedside table. Like, that's the all-seeing eye. It's being able to see through spirit. It's like, have you ever watched Sense8? If you not, go and watch Sense8. My God, that movie, or that Netflix, makes sense. Anyway, tools are being returned, things are being activated, things are being unlocked. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. But be your fullest expression. Go find your tools. Love you.